What if one small act of kindness, done when no one is watching, comes back years later and changes your life forever? Stay with me, because this story might just restore your faith in humanity. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Shadow Tales for more unforgettable stories that touch the soul. The hospital corridor was unusually quiet that night, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes every footstep echo louder than it should. Sanaa adjusted her wrinkled uniform, her eyes heavy from a double shift that refused to end. Being a nurse was never easy, but nights like these tested not just her strength, but her spirit. She had barely eaten, her feet ached, and all she wanted was to go home, collapse into bed, and forget the world for a few hours. As she passed the emergency entrance, she noticed a man sitting alone on the bench outside. His clothes were worn, his face pale, and his hands trembled slightly as he clutched something close to his chest. He looked out of place, like someone the world had forgotten. Sanaa hesitated. She could have walked past. No one would have blamed her. But something about his eyes, filled with quiet desperation, stopped her. She approached gently, asking if he needed help. The man looked up, startled, as if kindness was something he hadn't expected. He explained in a broken voice that he had no money, no family nearby, and had been turned away earlier. He wasn't even sure if his condition was serious, but he was scared. Sanaa felt a tug in her heart. Against hospital protocol and her own exhaustion, she brought him inside, arranged for a basic checkup, and even paid for his initial treatment from her own pocket. She stayed with him, offering quiet reassurance until his breathing steadied. Before leaving, he whispered a simple, "Thank you," that carried more weight than any words she'd heard in years. That night, Sanaa went home even more tired, but somehow lighter inside. Years passed, and that night faded into a distant memory for Sanaa. Life moved on. She continued working tirelessly, helping countless patients, though none of them ever stayed in her thoughts the way that stranger had. There was something about his vulnerability that had quietly stayed with her, but she never expected to see or hear from him again. One afternoon, after a particularly long shift, Sanaa found an envelope waiting for her at the nurse's station. It was old-fashioned, sealed carefully, her name written in neat handwriting she didn't recognize. Curious, she opened it. Inside was a letter, and a bank draft. Her hands trembled as she began to read. The letter was from the man she had helped that night. He explained that her kindness had come at a moment when he had completely lost hope. What she didn't know was that he had been battling not just illness, but despair. That night, he had been on the edge of giving up on life entirely. But her compassion gave him something he hadn't felt in years: worth. He wrote that he recovered, slowly rebuilt his life, and eventually started a small business that grew beyond his expectations. The money he enclosed wasn't repayment, it was gratitude. But more than that, he shared that he had dedicated his life to helping others, just as she had helped him. "Your kindness didn't just save me," the letter read. "It changed the path of my entire life." Tears filled Sanaa's eyes as she folded the letter. In that quiet moment, she realized something profound. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness echo louder than we can ever imagine. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Shadow Tales, because you never know which story might change your life next.